morning, my darlings. You're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch. I've just woken up. I said, I'm not even make-upped. I'm not even ringed. I said, what am I going to do for my Wednesday Witchcraft in the kitchen? And it just so happens that what I'm going to do today is cuppa. And tell you all about it and show you how I make my proper traditional English cuppa, because I have a very set way of doing it, and the British person who was a dear friend of mine who taught me said that this is the way, and if you do it in any other steps, it's just not traditional. So I'm here to show you this. And first thing in the morning, first thing I do is I roll out of bed, I do my meditations, and I do a little bit of divination, okay? And the reason I do that before I have my cuppa is because caffeine completely interferes with your psychic awareness. So, drink your herbal tea first thing in the morning, and I have this lovely Italian brand Capresso, this glass. Okay, it's glass, and it takes no time at all, and I put well water inside of there. I do not use tap water. First thing I do though in the morning, so have herbal tea while you're doing divination and meditation because there's no caffeine in there. And then switch to cuppa afterwards. So I start my morning by lighting my candles, having more tea, and I always light my candles with a match. My altar candle never goes out. It always burns. It's kind of nice. It's like an adult nightlight, right? Now, there's two different brands of tea that I might use. Now, my friend, his name is Chris, he told me PG Tips is the best brand. I've tried Tetley's, I've tried other brands, but honestly, I love PG Tips for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is the bag is shaped in a pyramid, which, who doesn't love a pyramid? I do. But the reason why that's good in the tea is because it floats, and you can always, there's like air in it, and you can always grab the bag from the top. Rarely ever does it sink down, which is awesome. So PG Tips, and it's quite strong, which I like. And I always use organic milk, and I either use whole milk or I use half and half. This is half and half. That's my preference. And then I use an organic raw sugar or turbano sugar. Okay? And then, and it looks like brown sugar, but don't use brown sugar. It is not the same. These are like crystals. Who doesn't love crystals? Did I not get a cup? I did. Where is it? Oh my god, if I didn't get a cup, that would be absolutely hilarious. I got all my stuff. Well, this cup isn't big enough. See how quick I can run to my kitchen and come right back. Boom! I did get it. It was just sitting on the counter. I wanted, oftentimes I use a mason jar, but this morning I really want to use one because I want to show you the color of the tea, and I wanted a clear glass for that. So, get your bag in, okay? Put it in that pyramid shape if you like, but it doesn't matter because we're going to be pouring from a great height so that we muddle the bag with the height of the tea, and you'll see me do that. You won't see how high my arm goes up, but I learned that, well, from Christopher, but I've also seen it in, like, when you go and have Moroccan food, and they serve the tea at the table, the rose tea at the end, and they pour it from that great height. I love that. Super love that. Okay. So these boil the water super fast. Like in 3 minutes, you're ready to go, which is lovely. Here's the main thing. You want to do tea, let it sit for like 3 to 5 minutes depending on how dark you like it. I like mine really dark. And then you do not squeeze the bag. You'll get bitter. You just do a couple of these and then take it out. Do not squeeze the bag. And then you put your sugar into preference. And then while you're stirring that sugar in and it's twirling, then you pour in your milk until it becomes a dark orange. Okay, that's why I put it on this dark orange paper. And then we are going to be, and then see it gets quiet and the light goes off. And then we are going to be reading from Scott Cunningham's Wicca in the Kitchen to find out how all of this applies to witchcraft. So when I go from a great height, it beats that bag. Yep. And now I pour it up to here. Okay, and then when I take the tea bag out, it's going to go down to there, and then the milk is going to bring it back up to there. So basically, like, pour it up to the height you want it to be, because then once you take out the tea bag and then add the milk, it'll be back up to there. So we're going to let this sit 3 to 5 minutes, okay, you guys? And while that's sitting, I will start reading. Now I have to say, I've not always been a reader, and I'm definitely not a scholar. Okay. However, I have earned scholarships, 2 of them, in my college years. Okay, so cuppa, which is what you call it. It's short for cup of tea, I'm guessing. Cuppa. We use English breakfast. You can use any English breakfast tea, really, but probably the best one I'm going to say is PG Tips. Or if you want to go organic, which if I'm doing like a special diet and everything, I really do like to do that when I can. I get the Choice brand, Choice Organic. And I just got rid of that box, otherwise I would show it to you guys. Okay. You also want the sugar, the creamer milk, and water. English breakfast, or just, okay. In Scott Cunningham's book, there's a chapter on tea and coffee, and then there's a chapter on from the dairy. As far as sugar and water goes, it just talks about it a little bit here and there throughout the book. But the water is what comes first. Now you're going to want to make sure you do not use tap water. I know I've gone on a rant about this before, but it has fluoride, it has chlorine, and it has pharmaceutical medications like antidepressants in the water. Every year they test the water of every state, and this is public information. You can do some information and look up and find out what was in your city water last. Because one year, in 2016 I think, in New Jersey, there were 23 different pharmaceuticals in the water, on top of all the different chemicals. So I go to my mom's, to Peggy's house, and we fill up big jugs of water from her well. It's lovely, lovely water. I feel really attached to it. Or you could go harvest water from nature and then boil it and cook it the proper way, which would be really magical. You could get high alkaline water. You could use Evian water. I really like Evian because it is a high alkaline water. My favorite water that's bottled is Voss, because it comes in these big giant glass bottles that you can put in the freezer and then put your water in, and it keeps it cold for hours. And these bottles of water only cost like $2.50 a piece, but they're big glass bottles. They also make Voss Sparkling, which I adore. Then you can use those jars either for a carry-on water bottle later, or you can use them for witches' jars, you can use them for spells, you can use them for all kinds of things. So I really suggest the Voss or any high alkaline water. If you can't get a high alkaline water, get Evian or Voss. Okay, so the English breakfast, the PG Tips, okay, so tea in general gives you a conscious mind, or it's good for conscious mind workings, money workings, and courage workings. When we talk about this, it's all about the magic of ingesting it. It's not about magical workings in a dish. It's just about ingesting when we talk about witchcraft in the kitchen. Also, all this information comes from Scott Cunningham's book, Encyclopedia of Wicca in the Kitchen. I call mine Witchcraft in the Kitchen because I'm not a Wiccan. but Scott Cunningham and I both do witchcraft, right? Okay, so I feel like the tea is probably there, and as you can see, it is just floating right at the top because of that pyramid shape. And so, just let it drip out. Do not, I repeat, do not go in and squeeze it. I know they make tea squeezers, but when the tea's been sitting like this, if you squeeze it, it gets bitter. With an herbal tea, you can get away with squeezing it, and it won't be bitter, as far as I know, okay? Didn't really plan this out. Okay. Luckily I have a small house, and nothing's too far away. Okay, so, you know, you could sit here with your intention. Like, for instance, the tea itself is good for conscious mind workings, money workings, and courage workings when you ingest it, but you want to avoid it for peace and happiness workings. And we already talked about avoiding caffeine during psychic awareness, like meditation and divination. Instead, you would want to have herbal tea until you got through your divination, meditation, and anything that had to do with psychic awareness, and then you could enjoy your caffeine and cuppa. Okay, so sugar, there's loads of it throughout the book, but there's no, like, section on sugar. But what I did find out about it is a love food. You want to avoid it, though, for quite a few things. You want to avoid it for fertility workings, for health and healing workings, and for weight loss workings. Again, these are workings. They're not avoid for weight loss. It's like avoid for weight loss magical workings, okay? And I like a good amount of sugar, I won't lie. I like this to be nice and sweet. I have this awesome, like, vintage, it's a depression glass, the hobsnail. And I just love this. I got it at a yard sale. And the spoon's teeny tiny, so I do like 7 teeny tiny spoons. I lost count. I'm going to have to taste it. Oh, also for the British thing, you never, like when you stir and you taste, you never taste off of your spoon. So, and as you're stirring, put your intention in. And you want to stir clockwise for good workings and counterclockwise for bad workings. Let's say you wanted to do witchcraft in the kitchen and make this tea for somebody in a naughty way. Stir it counterclockwise, put naughty intention into it, and then give it to them. I'm not saying I do that or that I support that. I'm just saying that you can do it, and that I can't control whether you do or not, and I'm trying to educate you on what they mean. So, coming from Scott Cunningham, in his video that you can find on YouTube of herbalism, which is like an hour long, I love it. Now I pour my, but he says the clockwise and counterclockwise. Whoop. Pour it in until it's a dark orange. And since the tea is still moving from me swirling it, I don't have to stir that in. The reason why you don't taste off of your spoon is because you might need to put that spoon back in to get more sugar, yeah? So you taste from your glass or your cup, and then you might add more sugar, okay? That's really important. And it's really important that you do not add the cream when the tea bag is in there. Like, British people will kick your butt out the door for that shit. Like, you just, it's not gonna happen. If you brought cuppa to somebody and the tea bag was left in, there's a great scene in Fresh Meat, which is a British show, and, what's her name? Josie. She's interviewing roommates, and she has them make tea for her, and there's this little kid, she's Welsh, and then there's this little kid, he's British, but he's really young, and he's obviously, like, never made tea for himself or anybody, and he brings it, and she goes, "What? You left the bag in? Get out of here, you pervert!" And, like, that to me, after Christopher showed me how to make tea, is the funniest thing. Okay, so, like, I like a good amount of cream, so it's just kind of like a nice, not dark orange, but a little lighter. Just orange. It's magical and on point. It does need a little more sugar, though. Like, it would be fine as is, but I do like a good kick of sugar in the morning. And you guys are like, holy smacks, that's a lot of sugar. But, you know, you gotta treat yourself. Okay, so sugar is a love food. Avoid it for fertility, and avoid it for health and healing workings, and avoid it for weight loss workings. Sorry. I make those noises at work too, and like not out in the dining room, but like in the back when I'm cleaning and stuff, and people are like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just can't always control my." These are just my PJs. I don't care. I can't always control my my yeeps. My yeeps. Okay, so you know, these are great. They're like a little pricey. They're like $65, and they're glass. So I mean, if you break it, but just be super careful with it. And it's nice because you can bring it anywhere. Really, I used to have one of these at work and at home. I mean, lots of stuff. Okay, so now we're cleaned up a little bit. Where are we sitting? 16 minutes. Okay, I have to do reading. Cream. Is good for love workings, spirituality workings, fertility workings, and peace and happiness workings. And I couldn't find anything where cream was controversial or contraindicated. So I'm sure there is one, but... And please always use organic cream. You do not want to have added hormones that will mess up the balance of your body that you're trying to balance for your magics, balance with the universe. You don't want those hormones in there, you guys. You also don't want the antibiotics that they pump into those animals. So when you get organic, they have no hormones nor antibiotics, and they were fed good food, which in turn is giving you good nutrition. They weren't just fed bologna like pellets and kept in these like, you know, these animals got to like eat grass and stuff, okay? And the normal milk, they did not get to eat grass, I promise you. Unless some fell off somebody's boot. Watch Earthlings if you haven't. You know, it might make you become a vegetarian for a while, but that might be a good thing. It was for me. Okay, water is purifying. And now we need to do some reading. Okay, so from the Dairy, chapter 20 in Encyclopedia of Wicca in the Kitchen by Scott Cunningham. Milk, planet, the moon, element water, energies, love, and spirituality. Lore. In about the year 18,000 BCE, humans began domesticating animals. No longer willing to follow roaming herds across the countryside, they built pens and began feeding and watering their stock. That's funny that they used to just follow them. I never really thought about that. This revolutionary practice certainly ensured food supplies, but the domestication of animals may have religious origins. Milk, both human and animal, human milk, both human and animal, was strongly associated with the birth of the young. Birth was associated with life and with deity. What better offering than the food of life? What better offering than the food of life could be made to the mother goddess, the source of all fertility? At least one food historian believes that the early domestication of animals may have sprung from the need for a regular supply of milk or use of milk for use in religious rituals. Now, I never thought of that either. That maybe the reason why we started domesticating animals wasn't for food, but was for the use for milk and rituals. Wow, that's a cool thought. Though human infants have always drunk human milk, several thousand years of genetic change were necessary before we could successfully drink the milk of animals. I have a huge rant about that, and I mean, like, listen, breast milk from humans was made to form a human child. Cow's milk was made to form a cow. Goat's milk was made to form a goat. And the list goes on. If you're a human and you consume cow's milk, you will start to gain the attributes of the cow. And over years, we will see humans start to evolve with more cow traits. Bigger. Go back 200 years ago. A lot of people weren't over like 5'3". We're bigger because of these fucking growth hormones. We're slow and sluggish like a cow. I mean, a lot of these diseases that pop up, when you eliminate dairy, you can start to see like, oh, this went away. You know how I clear my throat and I always have to clear my throat when I read? That goes away when I take dairy out of my diet and eggs. But right now I don't have a lot of money and I'm kind of a pescatarian in my own kitchen. And whatever my husband brings home, I have to kind of pick through that and eat. But it's really kind of difficult sometimes. And I just want to say, you do the best you can. But remember that milk is there to raise an infant of whatever the species is into that. So it's really something to think about. Okay, done with that rant. Today, a large percentage of human population still lacks the enzyme necessary for the digestion of animal milk. The only animal milk that humans can digest, because it's a high alkaline, is goat's milk. Okay? I don't think that tastes good in my cuppa, but it does taste brilliant, and I use it in my showers, and I have goats. We don't get milk from them yet because they're still young. But anyway, if you're vegan and you do it because you're trying to get the dairy out, you can still have goat's milk because it's the only milk that the human body can digest fully. Okay, both cow and goat's milk have been linked with deities and religion. The famous Egyptian goddess Hathor, usually depicted with the head of a cow, provided milk to deceased pharaohs as well as to the living. The cow was revered as her symbol. Many statues of a seated Isis holding her son Horus to her breast may have survived from antiquity. These are often thought to have inspired similar representations of the Virgin Mary and her son. The symbolism is the same, the woman, the goddess, during the act of nourishment. Milk was a prime offering to the deities in ancient Egypt. Tutmos III placed gold and silver jars of milk on the altar to Ammon. The divine liquid was also offered to Min, the ancient Egyptian god of fertility. Now, if you guys watched my Egyptology Sunday video last Sunday, I read that paragraph and I said, in some point we'll read milk and we'll read the rest. Here's that point. In Greece, goat nursemaids provided milk to Zeus, Dionysus, Acephalus, and many other deities. In his infancy, Zeus was attended by nymphs, awesome, and Alamatha, the goat who fed him. Goats were thus honored as sustainers for life and bringers of food. Zeus created the cornucopia, the horn of plenty, cornucopia, when he presented one of the horns of Alamatha to the nymphs. Though most milk today is pasteurized, it still retains some of its magical qualities. Also, buy raw milk when you can, especially for your magic, and that's what Scotty's talking about right here. Though most milk today is pasteurized, it still retains some of its magical qualities. So get raw milk for higher magical qualities. Goat's milk especially you can find raw at like local dairies. Find a goat farm. They'll sell you goat's milk. Just Google it. You've got goat farms around you. You just don't know it. Contemporary Wiccan esbats, or full moon rituals, may include the serving of milk as a physical symbol of the mother goddess. In this way, coven members gain life from her, both symbolically and in reality. I will definitely be drinking milk from the mother goddess on the next full moon, which, since I have my calendar right here, is on the 24th of October, exactly a week before Samhain. Also, I wanted to start out all my mornings with a no makeup video. If I don't look too hideous, you guys really, if I look off-putting, just say, and then I'll just put on makeup for these. by like saying, okay, today, so good morning guys, today is October 3rd, Wednesday. I'm off from work and the moon is in a waning phase at the moment. And it's Witchcraft in the kitchen, so we have that to look forward to. And I wanted to kind of start out my morning that way with a video, because sometimes I lay in bed for too long and I'm like, oh no, I don't have time, and I don't have makeup. If I just kind of let that go and didn't make it such a big deal, because it probably isn't, but please let me know. Okay, so, on with the milks. Magical uses. Not surprisingly, milk is usually classed as a moon food, under the additional rulership of the element of water. It is a loving food, effective for strengthening your ability to give and receive love. As a major source of nourishment to billions of humans and billions of animals, milk is linked with the endless mother goddess, provider of fertility. It's a fine food for use in diets designed to promote spirituality. Those concerned with healthy eating prefer unpasteurized goat's milk over cow's milk. See what I'm saying? Unpasteurized means raw. For those, I believe, for those steeped in Egyptian lore, however, the cow's mythic connection to Isis and Hathor may suggest the use of cow's milk. It depends on the drinker's personal taste. And then the chapter also goes on to talk about butter, yogurt, cheese, and ice cream. But that doesn't connect to the cuppa that we made, so that'll be for other videos. Now we're in chapter 18, and we're reading about tea. The only thing in here is tea and coffee. We'll do coffee in another video because there's a lot to say about it in the magical uses outside of the body as well. Like for magical dish use. Like cauldron magic, not stomach magic, yeah? Cauldron magic versus stomach magic. If you didn't know, I'm hilarious. Okay, tea. Planet Mars, element fire, energies, a conscious mind, money, and courage. Lore. Probably native to northern India, tea was introduced into China before CE 500. By that date, tea was already an established Chinese article for trade. In the 10th century, tea was considered the ideal drink. Green tea was once called liquid jade. I've never heard that. That's really cool. Some tea growers in China may still worship Liu Yu, who wrote the book known as Tea Classics before his death in 804 CE. The art of tea drinking was introduced to Japan during the 13th and 14th centuries. My hair. There may be legends and myths associated with tea. According to one, a holy man who wished to continuously meditate was plagued with sleep. He cut off his eyelids, which fell to the ground and were transformed into the first tea plants. That is such a cool story. Tea was sacred to the Buddha. The beverage was brought to England fairly early, and by the 1600s, drinking tea had been condemned by the English clergy. Why? Why was that? Why was this innocent drink linked with evil? That's funny. Because these ministers felt it led to a lack of morality and injured the health. Because it has caffeine and it's a drug. As usual, the religious zealots had little effect. Tea is still the most popular non-alcoholic beverage in England, though coffee is gaining. Tea leaf reading has been popular since at least the 1600s in England and elsewhere, and it continues to be a delightful act of divination. A cup of tea is drunk. Usually the drinker leaves a bit of tea, just a few drops or so, in the bottom of the cup, so then she or he then places the cup upside down on the saucer, turns it around 3 times, and turns it right side up again. The reader uses the symbol created by the randomly scattered tea leaves to contact the psychic mind and to form a link with the drinker. Tea bags prevent the reading from the signs. Loose tea is necessary. Magical uses. Drink tea to stimulate the conscious mind. Its high caffeine content will assist you in this. Tea is also drunk to bring money. Hold the tea bag or the leaves themselves in your hands and visualize prior to brewing. So, okay, you have a tea bag or loose leaf tea. You put it in your hand and you visualize money coming to you before brewing. It also promotes courage. Tea is a highly addictive substance. Use it with care and in moderation, as with all drugs. So guys, I really enjoyed doing this episode of Witchcraft in the Kitchen with you guys and talking about cuppa. I really love it, and I hope that you have one. And please let me know on the comments about the no makeup thing, because, you know, I gotta know. Cheers, you guys. Have a beautiful day. All my love, Jen the Taxidermy Witch.